We're gonna edit some GFX 100 files. This is the photography that we do. You probably think it's overkill, but after you use medium format files, you really can't go back. I'm pretty sure you can, but you get spoiled. So here we are, using a Dell Canvas Dell Canvas 27-inch touchscreen. As you can see, I can touch with the screen. It has a pen. It feels great. But we digress. We go back to the files. These are basically uncompressed files, full on Capture One, and we took this on August 12th, and it didn't take that many. Baby was a bit fuzzy, but it's alright. So these are some of the things that I do. I don't do very much on Capture One. I just bring it in. I go ahead and just a little bit of the levels, add a little bit of contrast, maybe bring some of the highlights depending on how much. If I didn't overexpose, I just make sure that I have enough light. The great thing about with the GFX is that let's say I took the photo like that, whether it was by mistake or something. Let's go ahead and reset everything. Let's say you see right here, I took the photo like this, right? For whatever reason, overexposed, you hit the wheel by mistake, and boom, it was a perfect baby. It was great, but it's overexposed. Regular camera, you'll be, damn it, I cannot recover the highlights. They're way overblown, right? A lot of it you'll be able to recover right here, maybe here, but most that you can see, it's pretty much gone. The great thing, and why we also got the GFX, is that I really sometimes don't even have to worry about it. I can recover pretty much just everything, you know. Add a little bit. Go right here. You can see right here, you can probably argue that it's still kind of overblown, but it's what you can live up to. If you like it bright, I can bring down the brightness. Again, some of this information might be lost, but I really don't care. This is pretty much my focus point I am. And since the baby was perfect, I'm gonna keep it, right? But everything else I was able to recover, where most cameras you wouldn't be able to recover absolutely nothing. You can see maybe some of this, you can see right here, it's probably lost, but you know what? It's something that I can live with, you know? Perfect, we're gonna move on. And from here, I go ahead and basically start doing some of my edits, depending on what I do. If I wanna do some clarity, make the baby's skin softer, you know? You will think that, where's my task manager? I think, oh, here we go. You would think it takes a lot of memory. Capture One takes about 5 gigs of memory. I'm running an i7 8700K, which is overclocked automatically on the BIOS. 32 gigs of memory. I'm running on a 580 AMD 580 video card, and I think it's 8 gigs of memory. And as you can see, the GPU is kind of running on the 36% and everything, kind of fluctuating depending on right now, because I have, as you can see, a couple of things kind of running in the background. I'm capturing with PowerPoint, I'm testing it, capturing where it takes the most, but as you can see, it's fluctuating. I really don't see a couple of things that might be using it, but I think most of the GPU usage, it comes from Capture One, probably Photoshop, which I also have open. You're gonna be fine working with these files. As you can see, it's driving basically 3 monitors, 2 27s and this, and I have another 24-inch which is over there, which that one's plugged in directly to the onboard video. But everybody's worried about, oh my god, do I need a powerful computer? Is everything? Well, I guess so. It depends on how you do it. I'm pretty sure I don't have to be running Capture One, Photoshop, Firefox, Chrome, recording screen, you know, to be able to edit these files. It works just fine. The touchscreen, a lot of the times, if you want to kind of zoom in and look in here, it's perfect. I can zoom in the computer works fine. It takes a couple of seconds, and then I can see it fine. It renders perfectly. It's basically, it might take a little bit longer for my the GSX 50S that I have, but to be honest with you, I really don't see much of a difference. You know, so it takes about 2 to 3 seconds for the image to actually fully render. And if you want to talk about something a little bit over too sharp, and you're just like, ugh, I don't want all of these kind of red lines to be super sharp here, everything. And this is basically where you kind of decide how close you get. If you want to crop, or if you're gonna come in and then just afterwards be like, nah, now I'm gonna have to really retouch all of this right here. But hey, it's the price I'm willing to pay to do that. But I can actually zoom in, crop. I don't have to worry about like get close, get farther or something. With this, I'm more than fine. As you can see already here, I made my changes, a little bit clarity, fix it here. I don't do much from images on RAW. I'm pretty sure Capture One can do whatever it is, but I'm just here to do the major, the most basic and major, I guess, of my edits. You can see 2 seconds, mostly 3, but this is kind of what it is. As you can see, just zooming in and out. Computer can handle fine i7 8700, 32 gigs of memory. And like I said, most of the time this is an upgrade. Capture One, Photoshop, open a couple of tabs of Chrome, listen to music, and in this case we're going to substitute it with recording the screen. So this will be my file, made the changes. As you can see, Capture One can handle it without a problem. 3 seconds. So you don't really have to worry about whether let's see if we can kind of get this screen right here. Come on. See, it's also using the Canvas Studio, whatever it is. You know, you can probably now see if I'm kind of fluctuating, and just see the GPU memory usage and CPU usage. It was from 16-19%, 20 in the CPU. So you'll be more than fine, but even with a slower processor, because it's not using 100% of the CPU, even 20% and 20% on the video card. So like I said, I think it's a Radeon 580 with 8 gigs of memory, you know, and it's more than enough. I think what I found out before building this computer, what I worried about, I think is to have more than enough memory and a decent video card. And like I said, it doesn't need the most powerful video card. I think it uses more onboard memory and the CPU than the actual video card. About an 8 gigs was more than enough for this. And as you can see, I can start operating, moving it around. It goes up to 20%, nothing more than that. You can see 5 gigs or 6 on the memory, which is 41%. I think after running all of this, 32 gigs is gonna be more than enough. So once I did my changes, move it around, do whatever I want. I really don't do much of the editing, clone, heal. I might do some contrast here and there, but I'm used to Photoshop the most. Once I do that, I'm gonna export, make my changes, my formula, Photoshop file, Adobe RGB. I use Adobe RGB since all my monitors can support almost 100% of the Adobe RGB color format, none of the sRGB. So I'll always work on Adobe RGB, 16-bit Photoshop file. And as you can see, it's gonna be a 582 megabyte file, 16-bit. The resolution 38.83 by 29, which is 11,648 megapixels by 8,736 megapixels. Huge file. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on the desktop, drop it there, and we're gonna go ahead and start processing it. As you can see, Capture One will start processing it. One Photoshop file, 500 gigs. It takes seconds. I try using Lightroom, it's garbage. So this is fine. Well, usually once I export, select the ones my favorite that I want, I export them, then just close it. And I'm gonna backup. So once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and open my Photoshop. This is some of the other sessions that I did, and this is the file that I want. Here it is. I'm gonna make it small so that you guys can see. Try to grab the corner over here. Over here, this side. Come on. You know, when you try to be as gentle as possible, and that thing just gonna. Because I want to have the task manager kind of open, so you guys can see the power usage, CPU usage, as it is. Like I said, this is a touchscreen also screen. I'll go over my shortcuts later and everything, but as you can see, I really don't have, I don't think Photoshop is using that much usage. I really don't see it here. Whatever, I don't care, but you can see the amount of memory being used is 25%, 16 on the CPU, and 16 on the GPU, you know? So this is where I will come in and start making my changes. Let me, with the Dell canvas, I'll make a video about it for photographers. I'll see if I can make make a video about it, and I'll show you kind of what it is. Let's see. There we go. With my shortcuts, I can move really fast. I can start coming in here. 70% actually will be the maximum, as you guys can see from there. Let me see if I can minimize this one. There we go. Let's do that again. I'm gonna open it and I'll show you my shortcuts. So basically what I do, basically I open a new layer, duplicate it, I open portraiture, launch it and everything. CPU 47, 66%, 84, 85, 30% of the memory, 16 CPU. Again, this is just portraiture, you know, to go ahead and smooth it out the skin, not so much, just a little bit, so because it is way too sharp. We do want to see details, but not so much. So as you can see right here, I'm working, moving the file, editing, and I'm just kind of moving it around so you guys can see the usage of video, memory, and GPU combination that people are too worried about working and editing the GFX 100 files. And it's fine. Like I said, you don't need to have an 8700. But if you're gonna move into that, it's not a bad investment, you know. When I bought it, was 2 years ago. It was like $350 for the CPU. So probably cheaper now. 120 for the motherboard, another 200 for the memory. I am using NVMe. I didn't use the fastest one, but it definitely helps to read the files. Put it on the desktop so that you can see, you know, how fast it opens and closes and everything. So using about 30% of memory, 20 on the CPU, or 4 GPU. So as you can see, the video card is not that important. Video card not critical, so don't spend your money on the video card. You know, you can probably use a 4 gig video card and you still be more than fine. 30% for memory. I think the memory that you want to get the best, I guess we can say the best, and 32 gigs will be a minimum that I would recommend when using GFX 100, Capture One, Photoshop, and so on. And the CPU, as you can see, only when you're working with some of the stuff, like some of the plugins and everything. I'm gonna launch another one so we can kind of see what it does. The only problem is that it's probably gonna block it. So here we go. I'm gonna apply it, I'm gonna bring it back, 32%, 33%, while it's applying the plugin, 90%, 100%, while I'm trying to do the plugin, 90, 40 on the memory, 100% CPU usage, so they can do exposure, which is some of the plugins to convert in black and white, some other ones. So as you can see, your processor will be, I think, one of the most critical when you're working to try to apply some extra stuff. Not really necessarily working there with files, but when you're working with plugins or doing some other stuff, then you'll see, you know, basically what's going on, how fast, how slow. Working faster for me is saving money, so that's why I definitely recommend spending the little bit of money for the 9700K. 9900, which is already out, 8700 is more than enough, you know. And even if you have the 9900, it's still probably gonna use 100%, and I doubt it's gonna be make much of a difference when working on it. This doesn't use multi-thread Photoshop. It uses only single core. So Intel and I think AMD now it's kind of working on almost to get come to par, or pretty much side to side with Intel when it comes down to single core processing power. But 8700K will be a good selection. And as you can see, my files are 1.7 gigs out of that, because I have 3 layers almost of the same. Usually once I plug in, I apply, as you can see, this is just a preference I want to do, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to stamp that down because I need to do a duplicate, and I bring my file down to 1.14. The reason why I used to leave them like whatever, I didn't care, I didn't stamp down or flatten the image, I didn't care, because I can always come back and edit the file or do small change depending on my clients. And but the reason why I started doing it with the GFX, which is kind of bringing us back to why we're going to edit the GFX 100. Once you go over the 2 gig files, when you save it, you actually have to save it as what was it? Let me see if I can remember. It's not a stereo. Large document format. There we go. It's a large document format. It's not a PSD, it's a PSB, and this is the only way you're gonna be able to save your file, because otherwise you're gonna get an error. So let's see if we can do that. Let's do that one more time. Let's see if we can go over. There you go. That's the 2 gigs, and then we're gonna try to save it. We'll save it on the desktop. Again, let's see what it says. It's a file, you want to replace it, and actually it didn't give me the error, which is kind of surprising because I was getting different errors saying that the large file, it didn't work. I'm saving as a PSD. It takes a little while to save the file. That's something that you will definitely encounter. It'll take a while to save your files. A lot of times what I do, I open multiple files, so while that's closing, I'm actually working on my next one already. Maybe that's people don't do that. Maybe they work one file at a time because the computer's slow. But that's just the way I like to work. In this case, I was just trying to demonstrate the error that I was getting before, but it is not getting it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wait. Let's see, 60%, like I said, it takes a while to save those files. 2 gig file definitely takes a while, no matter whether it's a GFX or something. So that's another thing that you need to check. Again, 26% of the CPU, 40 in the memory, and the GPU. I don't even know why it takes the GPU when saving the files, but that's when you'll see your information kind of working on what it is. My Wacom Desktop Center, I'm using the remote because whatever it is, the comes with the totem. There you go. The totem that comes with the Dell camera is just garbage for Photoshop. But working with the files is fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and flatten it. Just remove this one, merge down, bring it to 1.4, and I'm just gonna show you kind of how it is to edit the files. Earlier, about a week ago, a couple of days, I started noticing that I'm just the heel brush. I'm just gonna remove some of those imperfections, so that way you can see the CPU usage. You know, when I'm actually editing. When I was working with a version of Photoshop, I didn't know it was a version of Photoshop that was causing me problems. I thought it was a video card for the GFX. I thought I needed to upgrade. So I will heal, and you see how pretty much it's instant as I'm going over with the previous, another version. I can't even remember which one I had. when I did this, it will take a little while. It'll take like 1 or 2 seconds. Sometimes if I'm zooming in too much, let's see, it's not even doing it anymore with this version. I updated the version, but it would just take forever, no matter what. If I was zooming in, I was zoomed out, and it doesn't matter the size of the brush. And I'm like, and it was kind of jittery, like jumpy, slow down, and it wouldn't do it fast. I'm just kind of going over so you can kind of see the CPU usage. That would definitely take more time when editing and making changes, going over, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just kind of going over what I will do on a photo, or what I do, and then you guys can see the usage on the computer, because a lot of people are worried about, is it going to be able, do I have to upgrade computer, if I want to get this camera, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest with you, if you're worried about that, then maybe this is not a camera for you, but maybe this will answer just a question. That's why I'm making the video, which a lot of people, I think, are too worried to probably even upgrade to maybe like the 850 and Nikon D850, maybe some of the Sonys, which I'm not a fan of, and maybe the Canon, or is it a 50R or something like that, not 5R, or something, which is also 50 megapixel. As you can see, as I'm working through the image, just heel brush, removing some of the stuff, what I will normally do, to make it look not so scaly and so on, make it look natural. You can see the CPU usage and the memory. And as you can see, again, depending on the computer or how fast I'm recording a video, and say a couple of windows open, a couple of programs, Photoshop, and most of the time I'll be listening to music, so that I can edit normally in peace, and again, my tablet, because it'll be a freaking nightmare to edit with a mouse, or even just a regular tablet. But I found that I spent some money on to edit on screen, and as you can see, my two hands, using one of my hands to move the image around, the other one to heal, and you don't have to do this, but it's just easier. If I found it to I did find it jittery right now when I try to move it around for by recording the screen or something, trying to capture it. But found it easier to edit my images, so I'm actually editing on the screen and not down on the paper while looking up, and I know exactly kind of what I'm doing. So most of the stuff you won't even notice it, but when you will notice it is when you're printing, and that's the worst that I found. So you'll be like, they're not gonna notice at this distance far out, you can't even notice. But once you print it, or you print a canvas on a 20 by 30, what we usually do, all of this stuff right here, it looks dirty, it looks like the print, you left something, of course, my friend. Like you printed dirty, or the paper, or the canvas, and the last thing you want to do is print it again. But you have to then come back and edit all the stuff out, because you might be thinking, did I get dust? Is it like a white little thing? Yada yada. What can I do? So I have learned just to zoom in. As you can see, I'm zooming in at 228% to edit. Anyway, yeah, you can see I'm editing fine. You can see the CPU usage even while I'm zoomed in. I don't know if it makes a difference. Once you're working at this distance, like I said, I'm blending in. I'm going crazy. Again, once you zoom out, you're like perfect. 47%, or you can zoom out even more. Like I said, depending on your focus point. You want to go crazy even more? All right, let's go more. Blend it in even more. So 197% edits with the GFX. So, like I said, all these little things. Sometimes people hate editing. I love editing, and I love, basically just doing the details. It's kind of like it's relaxing, you know, relaxing. Just kind of sitting here, listening to music, going to town, removing all the imperfections. Therapeutic, if you want to call it. You know, people just want to do maybe photograph and they don't like to edit. It takes a while to edit. They used to maybe with a tablet like this to edit on screen, but once you do, you'll be kicking yourself why you didn't do it before. You know, as you can see, yeah, they just probably spend too much time talking, but I just want you to see what a regular edit will look like. You know, I will most of the time we'll kind of clean all this out, the little hairs. Again, the babies are moving, pulling the little hairs, pulling the blankets, moving their hands, and we'll basically get all these hairs all up in there, you know. So this is kind of what I will do normally. And keep an eye on the CPU usage as I'm doing this. CPU, memory, video card, you know. There you go, clean that up a little bit. Again, you don't see it from this distance, but you're zooming in, or even on a print. Trust me, on a print, I have seen it. You'll be like, what the hell is that? And you come in and you're like, seriously, I thought I edited all of this, and on the print it'll come up, and you get pissed. I would get pissed. Wasting a 20 by 30 canvas because a little white dot or something that you'll be like, it looks dirty. It looks like something on the print, something on the image. Maybe, but it was just maybe something on his skin that is maximized, you know, when you're printing it that big. Basically, it looks like that when you get that close. People won't even see it. They'll go in and see it like that. But if you get really close and start inspecting it, you will have a beautiful image print. But then you start seeing everything. Yeah. Like I said, you know, it's kind of acting weird. My Dell canvas. It's not the perfect canvas. Maybe it's acting up just to acting up. But yeah. Hopefully you guys like it. You know, just a little insight on how the GFX 100 works with Capture One, Photoshop, computer with the Intel 8700K, overclock automatically on the BIOS. You don't even have to know. Just Google it and I'll tell you what to do. It's super simple. And 32 gigs of memory, multiple programs open at the same time. And as you can see, the memory usage is the one that is going to take the most hit. If you have 16 gigs, yeah, not going to cut it. I think with many other programs, they take a lot. And like I said, you can close all of your programs, but I make my job, my work easier, enjoyable, where even if I spend another $100 for memory, then I can use Capture One, Photoshop, a couple of windows, music, videos going on the background. I check my email, I do everything. And you can see, look, 49% is going to go up. I'm still using 50% of the memory, and I have programs that have heavy usage, you know, of memory. There, Capture One, as you can see, it's a little bit of a hog, but yeah, you know, I can leave it open if I want to, you know, and keep editing, so I can go back and forth, you know, and we still have more than enough memory. My computer operates perfectly, you know, and yeah, it works great. Hopefully this answers the question, you know, oh, do I need a super fast computer to edit? Yes and no. You know, yes, if you want to do multiple things like I do most of the time, if I have multiple files open, multiple tabs, then yeah, you do need a fast computer. And that's why I got 32 gigs of memory and an 8700K processor. But if you're just working one file at a time to save some bucks, you don't need a supercomputer. As you can see, look. CPU, you see that? CPU usage as you're going in and out, in and out. See, 26% is kind of hanging, but 30, let's see if we can get 35% usage. And I still have, like I said, Capture One. It's already running. So there you go, guys. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. If you got some comments, let me know. I have the latest version of Photoshop that I will use, and the latest version of Capture One, which Fujifilm GFX 100 uncompressed. You guys have a good one. Enjoy.